Hi everyone. Good afternoon. So good to have you guys here again for your session on applying for startup opportunities. A fireside chat with Mr. Olugbenga Ogunbowale. So if you are in here in the room already, please kindly tell us your name, your location, and your startup name. So, guys, we are waiting for you. The facilitator will love to know what you are working on and your location. Please kindly type in that in the comment section so that we can start right away. Okay, we have Guyana, Trade Hunt, South Africa. So while we're waiting for others to do that, we'll be introducing the facilitator now so that he will dive into the topic for today. So today we have with us Olugbenga, who is the co-founder and CEO of Grandmaster, where he is transforming the funding landscape for ambitious organizations in need of grant funding. Gbenga has worked with a lot of international institutions, including US Chamber of Commerce, Google for SDGs, AWS, among other international organizations. He has been recognized as Africa's fundraising champion by Origo International, one of the five most outstanding social entrepreneurs in Nigeria by the Nigerians NG, one of the 10 outstanding young persons in Nigeria by JCI, and one of the 100 most influential young people in the world by Opportunity Hub. Gbenga has won well over 50 awards and accolades, including being recognized as as a Mandela Washington Fellow and Ambassador, Tony Elumelu Fellow, Mentor and Influencer, Royal Commonwealth Society Fellow, Yearly West Africa Fellow, Yearly Star of Business, among other organizations. He's a two times TEDx speaker. Please join me in welcoming Olugbenga Ogunbowale. Welcome on board, Benga.
Hello, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everybody. So, I want to be sure, can you all hear me? Is the sound good?
Yeah, someone mentioned that your voice is echoing.
Is echoing? Okay, just a minute. What about now? Is it better now?
Guys, please comment if you can hear him indicate. If there is any issue, please indicate.
Okay, I can see Guyani, trader on South Africa. Shaban. So, Shaban, how's my voice now? Fred, fresh fish. Yeah. Okay, Fred, nice to meet you. So, please drop a comment. How's the sound now? How is I believe the video is fine. I mean, based on the feedback that I'm getting, I can see myself for the sound. I hope everything is fine. going to assume that everything is fine right now because I'm monitoring the comment section, but there is no new comment.
So guys, please drop a comment to indicate that he's you can hear him. Those just joining, please also do so. Okay, my voice is echoing too. Interesting.
Wow. Echo. Uh,
Okay,
uh,
maybe I will mute myself so that let's see if the speaker's side will be better. I'll mute myself now.
okay, what about now? Is it better? Or maybe let me try to move closer to the laptop. Okay, background noise. Mm, okay, I'm coming. Let me see. Okay, how about now? Is it better now? Because I just switched to my AirPods. So is it better now? Shaban, can you confirm that everything is fine now? Okay, okay. So AirPod mode activated. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. I am going to share my screen shortly. Okay, okay, okay. Good to know that the sound is fine. So this is AirPod mode, right? So I am uploading my slides. Okay. Okay, all right. So can you see my slides? Um, can you all see my slides? Just say yes, I can. Right? So yes, I can. Because I don't know if you're still referring to the sound or to the slides. So I need to be sure now. Hello, Pascal. Can you see my slides?
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So let's get started. Let me turn on my. All right. So this afternoon I'm going to be talking to you about opportunities. Right. Of course, the goal is to share with you how startups win grants, accelerators, and competitions, and of course, how you can win this for yourself, for your startup, right? So my job this afternoon is to show you how it's done, to show you how the game is played, right? And I want to do this, through the style of Stephen Covey, right? He wrote 7 habits of highly effective people, and I want to show you the 5 habits of startups that win grants, accelerators, and competitions because they have some certain things in common, right? So uh, let's get started. Now, why should you listen to me, right? A little bit of bragging, right? So permit me, just indulge me. And the whole idea of this slide is, to just show you why you should pay attention and why you should listen to me. Why am I being qualified to talk about this topic, right? Uh, I'm currently the Origo fundraising champion.
Ancestry Grand winner, USADA Grand winner, Bagabadi Grand winner, Tony Limited Grand winner, Actor on Citizen Grand winner, Mandela Washington Alumni Ambassador, Mandela Washington Fellow, and on and on and on, right? So I believe that this session is really going to be useful to you because these the principles that I'm going to share with you today are principles that I live by every single day. So let's get started. Now, the first habit of opportunistic people, and by extension, you can say opportunistic startups, is that they are informed, right? They are informed. That's the first habit of of opportunistic leaders and opportunistic entrepreneurs. They are informed, right? They are informed. Let me just go back 1 minute, right, so that you can see where we're coming from, right? What are the habits of startups that win grants, accelerators, and competitions? Right? We're looking at these habits, right? What do they have in common? And so the first one is that they are informed. Now, you cannot give what you don't have, right? You can't give what you don't have. If you find yourself applying for opportunity after opportunity, but you keep getting rejection after rejection, what you have there is a knowledge gap. It's essentially a knowledge gap, right? And when you are loaded, you are needed, and you are needed to the degree that you are loaded, right? So, see, this is the thing about opportunities. It will get to a point where you won't have to apply for silent opportunities. You'll be nominated for them, right? You'll be nominated. You won't have to apply, right? I mean, at the earlier stage of my career, and I'm still very early in my career, but some years ago, I'd have to apply for something, right? Now it's getting to a point where like I just get an email saying, "Oh, you've been nominated for this, you've been selected for this," right? Being selected as Origo fundraising champion of the year, it was not a competition. I didn't apply, right? It was it was just an email from the organizers, from Canada saying, we love the incredible work you're doing at Grandmaster, you know, and you've been selected for this year. I'm like, just like that, exactly, right? Now, in order for you to be informed, you need to ask yourself a simple, basic question, right? And I'm asking you that question today. Are you a learning machine? Are you a learning machine? Information leads to transformation, right? You see, this is the thing about applying for grants, fellowships, and stuff like that. Right? The reason why some people get in and some people don't get in is the quality of the information that they have, right? It's the quality of the information that they have. Um, Shaban is talking about an echo. Uh, the echo certainly cannot be from my side because right now, like my both my mic and my speaker is the AirPod, so there's no echo from my side. Okay, okay, I can see that Pascal has left. Um, right. So is the sound better now? Can we all confirm that the sound is better? Shaban, is the sound better? And I'd appreciate feedback from every other person in the class, right? I think I'm only seeing Shaban and Gianni, right? So please, if you're in this class, I'd absolutely love your feedback from the comments. Is it better now? Are we fine? Please drop a comment, drop a comment, drop a comment, drop a comment. I want to be sure that everything is fine before I move on. Is it better now? Are we fine? Hello? Please drop a comment. Okay, Gianni said it's fine. All right, okay, okay, okay. All right, that's fine, right? It's okay. I am bright light. Bright light, I see you, right? Shining bright like a diamond. I see you. All right. So essentially, you need to become a learning machine. You need to surround yourself with resources and with resourceful people, right? Because the truth is that the things that you want to learn, some other people know those things, right? So the question is, are you connected with them? Are you learning from them, right? You need to surround yourself with resources and with resourceful people. As a startup entrepreneur, as someone who's working in a startup, you should be a learning machine. You should be reading stuff, right? You should be learning new things. So the story I want to share with you is the story of a group that I came up with. It's called the Global News Syndicate. And the idea of this group is it's just a very tiny group. I just spoke with some of my friends, my close friends, right? And then the idea was I want to subscribe for some certain um, news websites, right? And I don't want to mention their names, right? These subscriptions are expensive. Like when I say expensive, like one subscription can be like $400, right? But they have very high quality, analyses and stuff on business, on politics, right? And I want to, know what is happening around me. I want to stay ahead. So what I propose to them is let's gather money, right? And pay the subscription, and then we can share the access, right? Similar to what people do with Netflix, right? Like one person has Netflix and then they're sharing the password. Similar to that. That's what we did for the major news websites. Of course, we first have to agree on the news website, and then we did that right, for the major news website, and then you know all of us have access to it. It's just a very tiny group. We're about five, and we all have access to to these websites. We essentially pull the sources together, right? And that's the whole idea. Like you need to learn. You need to figure out, even if you're maybe unable to afford it, can you maybe team up with somebody or with a group to have access to the kind of information that you need? Why? Because if you're not informed, you're deformed, right? Information is the key to the transformation that you're seeking, right? So for some of you, maybe you need to take courses, you need to take classes, you need to read books, right? You need to uh, maybe go for a seminar, right? You need to become a learning machine. Learning has to become a part of you. At any given point in time, you should be reading a book, right? You should be reading a book, learning something, maybe taking a course. At any given point in time in your life, there should be some learning activity that is happening, right? That's how you can stay ahead as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as someone who wants to take the startup, your startup to the next level. The thing is, your startup cannot grow if you're not growing, right? So you have to grow in order for your startup to grow. If your leadership is stuck and you're not growing, you're not learning new things, your startup will be stuck. So it's really important. You need to ask yourself, are you a learning machine? Because you need to become a learning machine. And the activity I have for you is I want you to list one skill that you should learn now. What is that one skill that you think you should learn now, that you think you absolutely need right now? What is that one skill, right? What is that one skill? So, I mean, I'll be happy to see if there's anyone here who would like to share their one skill, that one skill that they absolutely want to learn right now. If you can, please drop that skill in the comments, right? We would love to learn from you, right? If you can, drop the skill in the comments. What is that one skill that you absolutely should learn right now? What is that one skill that you're looking to learn right now? I look forward to your comments. Please go to the comment section and drop that skill. Share with us. Let us know that skill that you want to learn. Okay, let's move on to habit number two. Habit number two is that they are impact driven, right? Startups and of course by extension entrepreneurs that win grants, fellowships, funds and all these opportunities, they are impact driven, right? And the question I have for you is, are you solving the pressing problem, right? Because the SI unit of entrepreneurship is value, value, right? Are you solving the pressing problem? So let me tell you the story of one of our clients uh, at Grandmaster. Okay, I'm bright light. Sorry, just a minute. I'm bright light. That's so powerful. You need to grow if you want to start up to grow. I love this. I'm bright light. Yes, absolutely. Right, absolutely. Um, the rate of growth of the startup is directly proportional to your own growth as the startup leader. Right? Is it direct proportion? It's directly proportional. Right? Let me say that again. The rate of growth of your startup is directly proportional to your growth as a leader. Right? It's in direct proportion. Okay, so let's talk about impact now and the story of Nakin. During COVID in 2020, Nakin, uh, a primary school teacher reached out to us. She had heard about the work we did for someone else who won a grant, and then she was like, "Oh, you know, uh, I, I heard about this Google grant that is open, and my school really needs money." If you remember during COVID, a lot of schools shut down, a lot of institutions shut down. Like Nakri was doing schooling via Zoom, and parents were not willing to pay for Zoom because they didn't even have the money to begin with, right? And so she first of all she had to fire like half of her staff, right? She It was a tough decision. And then even the ones that were left, she had to cut their salaries by half. She was literally weeks away from shutting down the school for good. But then she came across the grants, heard about us, and we put together a proposal. The first thing we did was we paired out with the chartered accountants, put our books in order, and then of course paired out with the badass grant writer. Long story short, nothing won that grant. The very first thing she did was to hire back all the people she fired. That was the first thing she did. Next thing she did was to renovate the school, buy all some things, and the school is doing very well now, right? And sometimes when I'm asked to talk about like the impact of our work at Grammar Staff, you know, not just sometimes, a lot of times, I share the story of Maclean, right? It's not because we don't have very big clients. In fact, we have some of our clients are huge, like High IT, for example, Rome Africa, huge clients. right? Where we could easily mention or name drop them. But by mentioning, I think we're showing that if a primary school owner can win a grant, then you too can win a grant. That's the whole lesson, right? That's the whole idea, right? And so it's really about solving the pressing problem. You know how pressing the problem was? The school was going to shut down from growth. That was like a life or death situation, right? The business was going to die, right? And so helping them get funding, when they desperately needed funding, we were like a lifeline to them, right? We were like we were certainly a breath of fresh air to them. So you have to ask yourself, what is that pressing problem that you're solving? And a good way to approach this is to look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, right? So, which of those goals, which goal is directly aligned with the work that you're doing, right? Let me just pause. I can see Shaban. Shaban is saying, I'm currently taking a course on UX on Coursera, but I'd like to learn how to raise money for my startup. Shaban, fantastic, fantastic. Good to know that you're learning about um, user experience. You like to learn how to raise money for a startup. Okay, of course, we're going to touch on some of that here. So Shaban, you're absolutely in the right place. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so you have to ask yourself, what is that pressing problem that I'm solving, right? And look at the SDGs. You should be able to pick at least one or two SDGs that tie directly to your mission. Because if you are not solving the pressing problem, investors will struggle to understand what you're doing. And especially grant funders, they will struggle to make sense of what it is that you're doing, right? So, what is I have an activity for us. What is the one pressing problem you intend to solve? Or if you've already started and you're, way ahead, right, in your journey, what is the one pressing problem that you're solving right now? What is that one pressing problem? So I want you to go to the comment section right now and tell us the problem that you're solving. Just summarize it for us in like one sentence. Right? What is the problem that you're solving? Right? Grandmaster, for example, right, we're solving the lack of funding. Right? The problem is lack of funding. A lot of startups, a lot of NGOs are struggling to access funding, to expand their impact, right? To make more impact, right? And so helping them access that funding is essentially the work that we're doing. So what is the problem that you're solving? Is it lack of access to funding? Is it unemployment, right? Is it pure poverty? Is it energy poverty? What is the pressing problem that you're solving or that you intend to solve? I want you to go to the comment section right now and quickly drop your comments. Stephen, okay, Stephen is saying, am I in Nigeria here? Stephen, you're welcome. Uh, Please, very quickly, can you share the problems that you intend to solve very, very quickly, very quickly, very quickly? Okay, so for the sake of time, while we are waiting for questions, let me move on to point number three, the third habit, right, of startups and by extension, entrepreneurs that win grants, scholarships, funding, right? They are storytellers. This is habit number three. They are storytellers, right? Are you telling your story in a compelling way? Do you have an elevator pitch? You absolutely should have an elevator pitch. What's the idea of an elevator pitch? Imagine that you're running into an elevator right now, and then you enter the elevator and you meet Elon Musk, or you meet Dangote, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Or you meet Otedola, one of those, money bags, right? And then maybe you've had them on your radar for a long time, and you want that billionaire or that multi-billionaire to fund your business or to fund your idea. What are you going to say to them in 60 seconds? Because typically an elevator within 60 seconds you probably get to where you're going, right? So that's the whole idea of an elevator pitch. You enter an elevator, you meet someone of interest, and you pitch to them between the time that you meet them and the time that they get to their destination, which is roughly 60 seconds. So what are you going to say to them in 60 seconds? Pitch is about the problem that you're solving, how you're solving that problem, and what is different about your approach, right? Problem solution differentiation. That's like the simplest form of an elevator pitch. The problem, the solution, and the differentiation. Because you're not the only one solving that problem. That's where differentiation comes in. You have to tell them Okay, so sorry about that. I guess my network. Uh, Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Can you all hear me? All good? Okay. So, Shaban, over 20 million Nigerians suffer from mental illness without access to care. Serena's space is essentially an Uber for therapy. Shaban, that's a powerful pitch, Shaban. Powerful, powerful pitch. Powerful pitch. And bright light. Mainland Africa is solving hospital management problems, making hospitals more sustainable when they adopt our e-management solutions. And bright light, that's interesting. So when you say hospital management problems, like what sort of problems? And bright light, I'd love to hear more about the sort of problems that you are trying to solve. Fred Assem, Fresh Fish GH is making a variety of fish products available online for consumers to but and get it delivered to them. So Fred, I think there is a mix up somewhere. So Fred, if you could rephrase. Okay, so it's good to know that you can all hear me, right? So in order to show you the power of stories, I mean, what other way to to show you the power of stories than to tell you the story? So let me tell you a crazy story my uncle told me several years ago, and this story was set, somewhere in a church, um, in a Baptist church. You know, those churches where that would have like the statue of Jesus Christ, right? I don't know if you've seen those churches where there would be like a big statue of Jesus, right, right in the front of the church, right? So that's the setting for this story. But a backstory: there was this competition, right? In Yoruba, you call it iso, which is in English is mess. And you know when you mess, right, and you police the air, right? So there was this competition, a messing competition, and you had three participants. You had someone representing Nigeria, and someone representing France, you had someone representing America, right? And so the whole idea was, and this competition was going to take place in the church, right? The Baptist church that I mentioned earlier. So guess what? All the three contestants, started preparing. The Nigerian. What do you think the Nigerian ate, right? Rotten egg, very bad beans, right? Coconuts with granuts, with spoiled food, right? The guy from America, as usual, burger, the guy from France, French fries, all of those things. Right? Everybody, they were just eating all the cools, right? Eating as all the cool, you know, eating all sort of nonsense, a lot of protein, just to make sure that, when it's game time, when it's competition time, they would release the meanest, baddest mess, right? So competition day came, and it was in the church. The church was fully jam packed, right? And uh, the first contestant was the guy from France. So the guy from France, came outside, and he essentially came out, and then he dropped. It was really like very subtle. You could barely hear the sound. But guess what happened? As he released the gas, the force was so powerful from his bum, his buttocks, that he pushed all of the chairs down. So everybody that was sitting down, they just found themselves on the floor. The force pushed all the chairs down. People were like, wow. Even the judges were like, my goodness, we found the winner. And wow, your mess is so powerful. Pushed all of the chairs down, like, wow. So the judges were like, like we already know the winner. Like these other people, you should just go and sit down, right? That was the guy from France. But the guy from America was like, you guys, you've not seen anything, right? You've not seen anything. So the guy from America, came out. That was the guy from France. The guy from America came out, and this time around, he backed the audience, right? So what he then did was, he backed the audience this time, like the first guy, and then when he released his own was, ladies and gentlemen, all the chairs that are funny, all of those chairs rose up. Like people were like, wow, right? Is this the resurrection power of Jesus? Like, wow, right? So the judges were like, my goodness, it's people that started that game. Which force is more powerful? Is it the force that pushes the chair down, or the force that raises the chairs up? Right? People started citing all kinds of laws. Newton's law of motion, third law of motion. People were like, no resurrection power. Like the judges had already concluded that the winner must be between the guy from France and the guy from America. And so the debate was which one is more powerful. Like people totally ignored the guy from Nigeria. Like what do you have to do again, right? But the Nigerian guy was just laughing like, ha ha ha. You ain't seen nothing yet. So when the guy came, even the judges were not paying attention. He just dropped his own. You could barely hear anything, right? But what people noticed was that even the judges, what I noticed was that people just started looking for the nearest exit, right? And we're talking about a church that had like multiple floors, right? So imagine people jumping from the topmost floor, jumping down, looking for the nearest exit, window, door, just jumping out. Like even the judges, everybody was scrambling to get out. Now, the fact that everybody was just scrambling to jump, not minding a broken arm or broken leg, just jumping, running out, right? That's not even like the most interesting part. The statue of Jesus Christ that was in front of the church, even the statue, right? Jesus had to remove his hand from the statue. Like, my father, let this cup pass over me. Even the statue of Jesus felt the stench of the mess of the smell. So, of course, the Nigerian won the competition. Now, let me pause here. Let me pause here. I mean, this is a very crazy story that my uncle told me several years ago. Now, the question is, I can see your reaction, Shaban and I am bright lights, right? I hope that you enjoyed the crazy, very crazy story. Now, the question is, does this story have any serious lesson? No, not really. It's just a story you tell kids, to make them, happy, right? And probably to distract them from whatever destructive things they were doing, right? It's just the kind of story you tell kids just to excite them, right? And and several years later, right, we're talking about a story that I heard about maybe 20 years ago, right, or more, right, very long time ago. I still remember the story, right, in vivid details. And so, of course, there's probably no morality in this story, right? Right? You can make a case and say, oh, preparation leads to actualization or turn it into a motivational speech. But the key story, the key takeaway that I want you to take away from this crazy story is that facts tell, but stories sell. Stories are sticky, right? You may not remember, the 5 habits of startups and win grant funding and win, all of these opportunities. You may not remember that. For some of you, it may just be this crazy story that you remember after now. And that's the power of story. You want to tell stories, very sticky stories that investors, partners, right, potential workers, right, your collaborators, that it will stick in their head. It will stick in their head like this. You want to rent space inside their head. And the best way to do that is to tell stories. Let's tell stories. The best way to do that. Diane, I can see your reaction. Okay, so let me tell you another story. I mean, I'll tell you the shorter version of the story. I served in a community during my NYC, National Youth Service Corps. That's like a mandatory 1 year service where you serve the government in Nigeria. I served in 2014, 2015, and I served in a community called Omala, right? And I was supposed to teach maths in GS3, SS3. So the first time I entered the class, I asked the question, "What is 5 times 5?" I was just joking, right? Because this is secondary school, right? Hello. So I was just joking. I said, "What is 5 times 5?" Guess what I found next? The students were pressing their calculator. I'm like, 5 times 5 multiplication table that primary school students already know. 5 times, they were pressing their calculator. That was when I knew I was in trouble. But I didn't know just how much trouble until I asked to see the school library. The school library. So they took me to the school library. The school library, the books in the school library were older than my dad. The books were in tatters. Like the furniture was nothing to write them about. Broken. In fact, they started gathering refuse inside the library, right? Another thing in the community, water. Water was asked come by, we were buying water, right? Because the one time I tried to use the well in the community, it gave me one mark. There's a nasty mark on my hand that I still have. That's the mark, that I got the one time I tried to fetch water from the well. Somebody told me to not go near that well again, right? So I was buying water, right? My students, I was not sure that, I was not sure what they knew, what they didn't know, right? So I was very concerned. And the funny thing is, students would come to class by say 9. They'll come very late by 9, and then they'll get sent home because the school is about how much 1,500, right? After like 1 or 2 hours of education, and I'm like, wow, like what is going on here, right? Like what is going on here? We're supposed to prepare these students for external exams, and what is this that is going on here? And I decided I was going to make a difference in that community. Quite a number of common members, ghosted. Ghosting is that NYC posts you, the government posts you to one community, but you by yourself, you post yourself to another community, which is what a lot of common members do. But I said I was going to stay back, and some of the other common members we decided to stay back. and I said I was going to make a difference. So one of the things that I did quite a number of things, but just to summary, I did a lot of skill acquisition training. I teamed up with other com members, other community members to teach, students how to make bolt outs, make team chip. And the idea was to empower them so that they can start small businesses and pay their school fees by themselves. And it worked. Another thing was to set up scholarships. Right? We wanted to encourage them to read and actually like be serious with it. And so we would pay the school fees. Remember, school fees of just 1,500 naira, right? And in dollars, in case you're not a Nigerian, you listen to this, it's about 1.5 dollars, right? So not a lot of money. And we would pay school fees for like the top three students in the class, right? And another thing was because we wanted to get the students reading. Another thing was I organized intra-school competition, and then I took that further. I organized inter-school competition, right? And essentially, I renovated the library, bought books, fixed all the furniture, right? Did a lot of things. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. When I finished my service here, just like 2 days before, I got a call from the government house, and I got a call. I got to meet the governor 1 day before I passed out, right? And I got a merit award alongside 9 other people. But that's not the highlight of my service here. The highlight of my service here is that years after, someone from that class called me, right? Told me, introduced himself because I'm like, who is this person? Introduced himself and told me that he just checked his jam score. Okay, so what do you score? He said he scored 250. Now, JAMB is the exam you write in Nigeria when you want to get admission into a university, right? So someone from that class that was back at the five called me years later to thank me for my impact in their lives and told me that I just got 250. Now, that's not all. Before I started in that community, for years, no member had won like a merit award. For years, after I left that community, the core members in the set after my set, two of them won merit awards. In fact, the overall best core member in that year was from that community. So not only did I inspire the students, that were there during that time, I catalyzed the core members, after me, the batch of them. They were like, wow, if this crazy guy can do it, we can do it too, right? And essentially, why am I telling you all of these stories, right? The crazy story and the Maya story is to show you the power of stories, right? The power of stories. For some of you, probably what you remember after today is, the story about my NYC, how it all went, how, the class that couldn't multiply 5 by 5, someone in that class eventually like blasted their jam and scored a very high score. Probably that's what you remember from now. But essentially, stories are sticky. Transportation leads to persuasion, right? So if you want to persuade people, the best way to do it is stories. It's stories. Tell them a story they can relate to. Tell them a story. Use your product. Use your service, right? Who is your best case study, right? Who is that one customer that has used your product and service and just cannot stop talking about it? If you can, shoot a video, right? Go to their workplace, shoot a video. If they are far away, do a virtual call, right? Promote that, right? People can relate to stories. So instead of just talking over people's heads, right? Use stories. Actual people that have benefited from your product, from your service, right? If maybe you've not really launched a product or a service, but you're still in the testing phase, you can come up with a potential story, what I would call like an abstract story. What you say, imagine, what you can say, oh, imagine a girl who goes to school without this. You can ask people to imagine stuff. It's all storytelling, as long as you're not lying, right? It's all storytelling. So I want to ask you, right? What is the finest story that you've heard, like ever in your life? What is the finest story? Is it one of those stories of the tortoise? All right. Is it the story of Superman, Spider-Man? Right. What's the finest story that you've ever heard? Right. Of course, you don't have to tell us the entire story. You can just tell us in one sentence, like, oh, I once heard the story about this and this in one sentence. So please, by all means, share in the comment section. I'd love to hear the finest story you've ever heard. Okay, Steven is sharing. Another is a holistic ecosystem that integrates e-commerce, ride-hailing, and logistics into one, solving the needs of commerce and transportation. That's very interesting. E-commerce, ride-hailing, and logistics. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's move to habit number 4. Remember, we're talking about the 5 habits, right? Of startups that win grants, funding opportunities, scholarships. Habit number 4 is pivot early. Pivot early. See, you need to ask yourself as an entrepreneur, is this working? Is it time to pause? A lot of times what happens is that we do the same things the same way and we expect a different result, right? You really need to ask yourself. And I have a story to share with you. Before I started working on Grandmaster, I had this idea called Polyvoice. And Polyvoice was all about connecting the government to the citizens. So the gap that I saw was that um, elected officials really didn't know what was happening, what's happening, with the citizenry. They really could not say what's happening in this area, what's happening in that area. And I felt, what if you have a platform where elected officials can see in real time what is happening in each specific area, right, of the country, right? What is happening? What are people complaining about in a particular area, right? And then, of course, it also gives the citizens the platform to share their pain points in their from their specific area, right? And this idea made so much sense to me. I was like, wow, very excited. And of course, I applied for competitions, and we got selected for a competition called GSTECI, right? Um, it's a U.S. State Department competition. Polivers got selected top 24 in the world, top 12 in the world, top 6 in the world were in Bahrain, right? Bahrain is very close to UAE, right? So we're in Bahrain to pitch. Now, I remember that, when I pitched to start up, I remember that the judges asked me a simple question, which is, how is this going to make money? And then I started talking to them about ads, and, when I saw the look on their faces, I just knew it is finished. Of course, Volleyball did not win that particular pitch. When I came back to Nigeria, I'm like, the judges have said we should figure out a way to make money. So I started thinking, can we have Polyvoice for work? Can we have like an anonymous reporting system where people in organizations can report anonymously to management about the things that they are facing, right? Because so that they will not be targeted, blah, blah, blah. We talked to a lot of companies, right? People will say, oh, wow, this is so exciting when it's time to pay. Where's the money? They won't drop it. They won't. And all of that struggle continued for about a year until we came to the conclusion this is not working. We need support. And what we put to was Grandmaster. Right? What we did differently with Grandmaster was like we tested extensively. Like I remember one of the things that I did then was I organized like a seminar, like a training on grant writing, just to see the appetite, for it. And I think we had about 50 people who paid for that particular training, and each person paid around 20,000 naira. So in Nigerian naira, it was around 1 million naira, right? Today, which would be like around $1,000. And even after that, we did surveys and we asked people to prepay, right? We asked people to prepay for the service before we launched the service. We asked people to prepay, right? And about 15 people prepaid. Out of 19 people that paid, so 15 people prepaid for a service we had not launched. That was when we knew we had the market, right? That was when we knew we had like a business, right? And so essentially, like, ask yourself, this thing that I'm doing, is it working, right? What do I need to stop doing? Right? That's the question you need to ask. What do I need to stop doing? Is this business, is it working? Sometimes you may not necessarily need to change the entire business. Sometimes you may need to just change the business model. But some other times it's to just change the entire thing that you're doing, right? Because ask yourself, is this working? Is it time to pause? Am I wasting my life? Right? So I want you to ask yourself, what is that one thing that you need to stop doing right now? Ask yourself. You don't necessarily have to share this in the comment section, but this is a question that you really should reflect on. What is the one thing that I need to stop doing in this business right now? What is the one thing that I need to stop doing? Is this business working? Is it time to pause? What can we change? What do we need to change? Right? So that's habit number 4. They pivot early, right? They don't cry over speaking. If it's not working, move on. And then habit number 5 is, I broke this into 2 parts, right? Is that they are opportunistic, right? Even from like the topic of this session, right? Which is opportunistic, right? Startups can win grant funding, and win essentially VC funding and all of that. They are very opportunistic. So you have to ask yourself some certain questions. Number 1, what opportunities do I qualify for? Right? If you want to stay in touch with opportunities, especially with grants, right? Sign up on Grandmaster's website, grandmaster.xy. Sign up for our newsletter, right? We have a Telegram channel where we share grant opportunities. Sign up for that. There are sites like opportunitiesforapplicants.com, funds for NGO. Check out all these websites, right? Check out what are the opportunities that I qualify for. You cannot seize what you cannot see. Ask yourself, will this opportunity provide a tangible value to me, right? So there is something that is trending right now on social media, which is Forbes BLK, right? And I just noticed that nearly everybody on my timeline is saying, "Oh, congratulations, I've been selected for Forbes BLK." I mean, yesterday, the pressure was just so much. I'm like, I had to Google what is even this Forbes BLK, right? Now, why am I mentioning it? Because you have to ask yourself, will this opportunity provide a tangible value to me, right? If Forbes BLK will provide a tangible value to you, by all means apply for it. But my point is that there's so many opportunities out there that are so useless, right? Those opportunities are put together by people who don't even know half of what you know. So by applying for those opportunities, essentially you are enabling bad behavior. Really, like literally, you're enabling bad behavior. So you should ask yourself if the opportunity will provide a tangible value to you. Okay, someone I'm bright like is asking, can you list all those major website opportunities? Right. So the key websites you can check funds for NGO.org, opportunities for Africans.com. You can also go to Grammar.xyz and just sign up for our newsletter. Right. How can this opportunity accelerate my contribution to the world? Ask yourself. Right. Another thing you should also be thinking about is, you can't do the same thing forever, right? What does what is the exit plan for your startup? What does that exit plan look like? Do you intend that in the next 5 to 10 years that maybe you will sell your startup? Or do you intend to build to a point where you will have like an IPO? Or do you intend to build to a point where you'll be acquired by a bigger startup, right? What is the exit plan? Shutting down the startup if it's not working is also an exit plan, right? What is the exit plan? It's impossible that you're going to do that thing that you're doing right now. You're going to do it forever. It's impossible. Even successful billionaires. Look at someone like Jeff Bezos. Right? Why did he walk away from Amazon? Amazon was boiling, and Amazon is still boiling, but he walked away. Right? Bill Gates walked away from Microsoft. That is because you can't do the same thing forever. That's the law of nature, right? So, as entrepreneurs, the fact that you're an entrepreneur does not mean you should also not have like a career plan and just think about, oh, what are some of the things I can do in the future. It doesn't mean you want to do them now. It doesn't mean you're resigning from a startup now. But you should also be thinking in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, what are the things that I want to do? What are some other things that I might want to explore? Right? So it's important that you think about your exit plan. Of course, it doesn't have to be front and center, but it helps if you at least have goals, aspirations, things that are even beyond your startup that you probably want to do much, much later. So it's important that you think about that. Like just keep that in one corner of your mind as you do what you do as a startup leader, right? So opportunistic part two, right? If you want to apply especially for grants, for opportunities, for fellowships, have you read the request for proposal, which is called RFP, right? Have you read the application guide? There's always an application guide, not always, but most times, right? So where the funder would say, "Oh, this is how you should apply for this," right? Have you read it? Have you gone through it, right? Because essentially, when a funder puts out an application guide or they put out the RFP, they're simply saying, "This is how you can win. There's free money, and this is how to win." But if you don't read it, you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. Another thing is really aims and objectives of the funder. Go to their website, go and read up on them, check out their aims and objectives. What are they trying to achieve? Another one, read about past winners. Check them out, right? The past winners of this particular opportunity, of this fellowship, of this grants, of this funding, what do they do? Why were they selected? Another thing is ask yourself, can I put together this proposal before the deadline? And let me tell you a short story, right? The story of how, I want Africa Online Safety Fund, and, I put it in bracket for speed. So this particular grant, it was in like two stages. I remember that I did stage one and it all went well, no issues. And then stage two was very, very technical. And I remember that I just kept postponing and postponing and postponing. And on the day of the deadline, I remember this because on this particular day, my nose was blocked. Right? My nose shoes, both were like blocked. I was just blowing my nose, blowing my nose. So I remember very well, very well. So what I did on this very day is the deadline day. I got to the office and I told my other team members. I told everybody in the office like, except the sky is falling down, don't call my name, don't disturb me. Right? I need 100% concentration. So that's why I told everybody in the office. Except the sky is falling down, don't call my name, don't slack me, don't reach out to me. And so I started working. I started working on this proposal around like 8:30 a.m. I did not stop writing. I did not stand up from my desk until 6 p.m. Non-stop. Writing non-stop. I did submit. Long story short, we won that grant, right? We were like, no, I am not recommending this approach to you. Please, this is not an approach that I recommend. This fire brigade last minute rushing. I do not recommend it for you, right? But you need to ask yourself, can you put together this proposal before the deadline? There's some proposals that will probably take days, weeks of work, right? Very technical ones. So I'm not recommending my fire brigade approach, right? And I remember that particular experience because of how I was feeling, my health and all of that particular day, right? But ask yourself realistically, because if you see an opportunity and you just know that it's impossible for you to put together the proposal before the deadline, there's really no point trying, right? There's really no point. Right? Let me give you an example. Let's say you see an opportunity that's closing tomorrow, and then you see the RFP is like 13 pages, right? There's just no point in putting together like a wishy-washy, a rubbish proposal. There's just no point, right? Which leads me to the next point. Do you need to hire a professional, right? An organization like Grandmaster exists for this particular purpose. There are some opportunities that even though you can apply it for yourself, you can apply, you just don't have the time. Sometimes it's the expertise that you don't have. Like hire a professional. Hire, right? Just take the weight. Running a business is tough enough, it's hard enough, right? Look for an expert that can help you. And then the final one here is, do you have all the supporting documents? There are quite a number of fellowships, opportunities, right? Accelerators, where they will ask you things like pitch deck, right? Sometimes they can ask you for a flowchart. They can ask you for the organization's organogram, right? Sometimes they'll ask you for audited financial, right? So you have to ask yourself, do I have the supporting documents? And if you don't have, can I put together a supporting document within the frame of time that I have, right? So these are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself whenever you see an opportunity, right? And so the question I have for you is, what opportunity should you absolutely apply for? This weekend, this month, what are the opportunities that are on your radar that you're looking to apply for? Right? What are those opportunities? And I hope that you identify them. Right. So just to round things up, my name is once again my name is Ogunbowale. I'm the CEO of Grandmaster. Grandmaster Connect organizations who want to win grant funding to the top 1% of grant writers. Essentially, we help you win grant funding without the sweat. And I am very happy to connect with all of you. Those are my contact details. I would like to know if you have any questions. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope this session has been value for your time. So please feel free to ask me questions. Host, over to you. Okay, so do we have any questions? I'm bright light. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So do you have any questions? Any questions? Any comments? Questions, 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 questions.
Oh, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, 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 we can, yes.
Okay, please, if you have questions for Benga, please send your question, type your question in the comment section, or you can use the link I just sent to come up to the studio in case you want to ask a live question. So thank you very, very much, Benga. I've been speaking all this while. I didn't even know that I didn't add myself back to the studio.
Oh, wow.
So thank you very much for the insights, for the knowledge, for the experiences shared. Even
Thank you for having
myself,
me.
I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from
Thank you
it.
for
So
having me.
guys, if you have questions, type in your question in the comment section, or you can use the link I just sent to add yourself to the studio so that we can bring you up to ask your question. So we are waiting for you. We are giving you guys a minute for that. While we're waiting for your questions, also use this opportunity to fill the attendance form. As you already know, you have to make up to 80% attendance for you to be an ideate fellow. Please fill the attendance while we're waiting for you to join the studio or ask your question. So please don't come to ask us any question relating to funding, applying for grants, and all of those things. This is the opportunity you have to ask all questions you need concerning that topic. No, no, I was speaking. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a question from I am bright. Is it a must to have a website to apply for grant? That's question one. What are the differences in application process between business grants and academic grants? So Benga, we have question for you.
Okay, all right. So for the first one, is it a must to have a website to apply for a grant? I would say mostly yes, right? Because most grant funders will ask you for the website of the organization, right? Yes, there are some funders who don't ask you for the website, but they are typically for very small grants, right? So maybe grants like pollination projects, right, where they give like $1,000. So they are usually they are typically small grants. So if you want to apply for big grants, it's important that you have a website. A website is like the digital office of the organization. Yeah, so that's why you should have a website. That's your digital office. That's your digital representation. That's the place where they can find out about you. So it's important. Please do set up a website. Now, in terms of the difference between applying for a business grant and academic grant, the difference is, of course, in the focus, right? Business grants are mostly focused around the business, right? So they will ask you business related questions. Academic grants are mostly, they are typically usually research based, right? Where they ask you research, right? They are usually research focused, right? Because if the grant is focused on education, right, and it's not research, it will probably be like a typical business grant. But academic grants are more of research and research based. So if you're applying for an academic grant, expect that what you submit will be almost like a thesis, like you're writing like a paper. Exactly, that's what it will be like. Fred is asking, what is your success fees when your assistants receive your grant funds or grants? We charge both an upfront fee and a commission when you win a grant. Fred, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation with you if that's okay by you. Somebody already reached out to me here, so please feel free to reach out to me. That's fine. We can always discuss business.
Okay, guys. Since there is no other question, please endeavor to fill the attendance form. Okay, someone is asking another question. Please, if you have questions, kindly send your questions right now as we are rounding up. We have another question from Fred. Can you also share with us possible grant sites to look out to in the future? And how lucky can an idea get a partnership grant to co-create an idea? Please, Benga, we have question.
Okay, so right now I am trying to uh, share some of those websites. I don't know. My comment is failing though, right? So I think what I can do is, since there's a lot of questions around like the website, I can include it in my slides and then share the slides with the host. And so don't worry about it. You get it in my slides. I'm happy to share my slides. Okay, then there's also a question about how lucky can an idea get a partnership grant to co-create on an idea? I don't understand this question. I don't understand it. Fred, can you rephrase? Fred, please, if you can rephrase, that would really help. If you can. Any other questions or comments?
Okay, so since I can't see another question here, we'll have to close. So once again, thank you very much, Benga, for your time, the knowledge you've shared, the
Um,
experiences, the insights, and all. He has
okay.
also promised to share his slides alongside the
Yeah.
list of opportunities sites you should look out for. So we really appreciate that. Once again, thank you very much, and we look
Thank
forward
you for
to
having me.
engaging more. Thank you, and do have a great weekend, everyone.